Hello and welcome to Emotional Health with Dr. Vani. I'm Vani Marshall, psychologist and counselor, and I'm passionate about emotional and spiritual health for all people. I got into counseling because I personally went through some struggles with anxiety and low self-esteem when I was a teenager, when I was growing up. And I did not really have professional support or knowledgeable support. I had a great family and they loved me. However, there was no one to give me the right kind of tools for me to develop emotionally and spiritually. I grew up feeling pretty much struggling with certain things on my own. I decided a while ago that I wanted to be a people helper. I wanted to help people, counsel them, provide tools for their recovery and health. And hence my journey started to becoming a counselor. We've been on a series here about boundaries and developing boundaries and codependent relationships. Today, I will be talking about developing those boundaries and how to apply them to create a safer life and stronger emotional, spiritual, and mental health. Having said that, at the end of this program, on your screen, you will see certain contact information and also my website. Please visit pathwayusa.info. That particular website is currently offering short courses on pastoral counseling and general psychology and general counseling. So you can sign up. The courses are pretty intensive, but within 8 weeks, you can be more knowledgeable and you will obtain a certificate in pastoral counseling, in psychology, either both, or you can choose one. Sign up at pathwayusa.info, and you will receive all of the course materials and my personal lectures as soon as you do that. Check it out. The goal, we're talking about codependent relationships. The goal in recovery is to have healthy boundaries, not too rigid that they become walls, and not too loose that they're pretty useless. It is also important to note that it is our responsibility to develop healthy boundaries. No one else is going to develop those boundaries for you. We cannot put it on any other person, and we cannot control the way other people behave. Sometimes I know we're convinced that we can control how other people behave. We can try to order them or nag them or threaten them into submission or into change. People are going to behave the way they want to. The only person that you can change is yourself. You cannot change others. And if you enter into a journey of trying to change other people, it'll be a frustrating journey, full of anxiety and depression, no peace, no joy on your part. But if you would change yourself and change your response to other people's behavior, whether it's good behavior or destructive behavior, if you would change yourself and your response, then you will be able to take control over your life. And hence, you will protect your peace, protect your joy, your safety, and grow stronger emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. I'm convinced that it is very difficult to have a strong spiritual life if you don't have emotional and mental health. So it's all tied in together. As you develop healthy boundaries, remember, you will also develop an appropriate sense of roles among family members, others, and yourselves. You are then able to respect others, and you will be able to respect yourself. Without self-respect, you are not going to be able to confront people with unhealthy boundaries. You're not going to be able to kindly and lovingly confront anyone who's going to invade your privacy or rob you from peace and joy or attack you. You're not going to be able to confront them and put a stop to destructive behavior in other people. Why? Because if you don't have a sense of self-respect, you would think that you deserved the way people treated you. No, you do not deserve to be treated disrespectfully. You do not deserve your space to be robbed and your peace and joy to be taken away. No. We need to learn to say no. In counseling many times and in psychology conferences and seminars, I have often urged people, viewers like yourself, to learn to say no and set limits with others. When others try to exploit you, say no. When others are manipulating you, say no. You're thinking, well, it's easier said than done. If you love somebody, they are significant in your life. They might be a parent, a child, a spouse, a good friend. It's not easy to say no. You're right, it's not. But it's something that you have to develop. Pray. Ask God to give you the ability to set those limits. Pray and ask God to help you. Confront in a biblical way. Don't confront in a fleshly way. Fleshly confrontation is disrespectful, angry, resentful, and ends up in an ugly fight and an ugly quarrel. And you might fall out with that person. But biblical confrontation is, first of all, peaceable, wise, kind, and loving, but firm. Christ always confronted those around him that he needed to confront lovingly, caringly, but firmly. He did not put up with destructive behavior, but he always taught people with great love. Saying no and setting limits with others will stop the manipulation and exploitation. Example could be a victim of physical and sexual abuse. There are, unfortunately and sadly in our society, many victims of physical and sexual abuse. These survivors learn to grow from their experience, even though their experience is horrendous, horrific. And they are able to understand the nature of invasion of those boundaries. As soon as they begin to become cognizant, as soon as they begin to realize this pattern, they learn what not to do and become very comfortable in setting strong, healthy, appropriate boundaries. As long as they stay in an abusive relationship, I'm going to repeat that. As long as you, dear viewer, as long as you stay in an abusive relationship without putting boundaries, without biblically confronting the abuser, the abuse will continue. You already know that. But as soon as the victim, the abused person, as soon as they get out of that relationship or put a stop to it or communicate strong boundaries and consequences if the boundaries are violated. That's very important. If you're in an abusive relationship, communicate the consequences of that abuse, of that manipulation, of the control. Yes, you love them. Yes, you care about them. But you can communicate the consequences to them. That's real love. Because you're giving them an opportunity also to change. And equally important, you're giving yourself the opportunity to remain safe, to remain abuse-free, manipulation-free, control-free. You are made in God's image. You are fearfully and wonderfully made by God. You deserve better than to be manipulated, controlled, or abused. Of course. Take authority. Speak up. Speak out. And if you are intimidated, you are afraid, then reach out to a third person for help, to a counselor, to a friend, a safe friend, a pastor, a spiritual leader, someone you trust. Get them involved so that they could be a spokesperson as well. There is a great book out there. It's called Codependent No More. Great book by Melody Beattie. You can either download it or get it online. Look it up. If you feel that either you or someone you know is possibly in a codependent, toxic, unhealthy, boundaryless relationship, they need to read this book. It's a good book. Codependent people with loose and inadequate boundaries tend to develop too much tolerance for pain. Codependent people don't think that they deserve any better, so they tolerate abuse, they tolerate pain. They tolerate insanity and chaos in the family, at the workplace, in relationships. Sometimes it is difficult for them to notice that someone is hurting them. Yes, sometimes codependent people don't even know that they're being manipulated, abused, and taken advantage of. They feel that, well, it is my loving duty to be the caretaker of all of these people, to fix their lives and rescue them consistently, and take responsibility for all of their problems. That is not true. That is a toxic, unhealthy way of thinking, and you need to put a stop to it. As we develop self-confidence and confidence in God, you are able to set firm limits with those who are abusing you. Once you learn to take care of your needs and you need to engage, once you start engaging in self-nurturing activities, take time out, go for short vacations or long ones, rest. Don't let anyone ruin your sleep and your rest time. Once you start taking care of you, once you start self-nurturing activities, and once you start making wise decisions and understand the difference between need and want, then you are able to set boundaries in your relationships. Moreover, it is also helpful to be aware of what you like and what you dislike. Put a list. What do you like about how people behave around you? What is it you like about this person? What is it you don't like? Then communicate. Speak up. And communicate the consequences of boundary violations. Don't be afraid. God is on your side. He lives within you. He's with you. And if you pray and ask Him to give you the grace and the strength and the boldness to get a hold of your life, take back power from anyone else who has robbed power from you. Take back that authority and power from them. Be empowered. Stay safe. Next segment, we are going to talk about the various boundaries that exist and what we can do about it. There are several categories, and we will go through all of them. Don't forget, check out pathwayusa.info. If you're interested in short courses on pastoral counseling, these are for pastors, pastors' wives, church leaders. If you want to help people, you can check out these courses. See you next week.